So we are always been followers of the Western companies, and I felt this is a technology where we can really become leaders and create new applications. So that is the whole objective. I think many of the learned people in this session, with your expertise, and if you couple this expertise applications. So that is the whole point. So it's bringing back the glory of Indian innovation, Indian science, and make it more practically, applicable. So I remember one example where C.V. Raman scattering we all know, but much of the commercial applications of Raman scattering are built in America, not in India. What the motto of my company.
Sir, very low audio out there.
So
Sir,
now,
there is your voice is not clear in between. It is actually cutting in between.
now am I audible?
Yeah, now it's clear. Now it's clear. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So let us. That is a brief about myself, and let us get into the today's discussion. So I hope morning you had a very good session of inauguration session, and the speakers might have emphasized the need for quantum computing, and mostly uh, the the intricacies of quantum physics part, quantum at fundamental level, particle level. So many people are speaking about that, but current session I want to focus more on how do you create a practical, useful application. At least, the goals at individual level we have different goals, right? Somebody wants to do a job with this knowledge, or somebody wants to create a better research paper, or you want to go for funded project. So that is the level of wide spectrum I kept in mind, so that you will see, I bringing in thoughts from various places and try to go to the lab, then try to experiment with some of the tools that are already there. Okay, so let us see how it goes. Let me complete the session before you ask any questions. So maybe during my flow of the session you will notice that many of your doubts are answered. So definitely I'll give around 30 to 30 minutes for interaction, and for question and answer session at the end of the lecture. So today I'm going to speak about quantum states and qubits. Uh, Quantum states are important because uh, in classical physics, we say various a particle can exist in any state, like excited state and ground state. All those things we studied, uh, and the laws of classical mechanics, they were suitable to an extent. No, some of the phenomena that nature is undergoing could not be explained by classical mechanics. So the great scientist Feynman, so he was the person who says, no, nature is doing some computation which which cannot be explained by classical mechanics. So that is where now people started thinking about how do we explain the things that are happening in the nature, so calling them as quantum mechanics. So this entire thing we are going to see. So I will just and this presentation I try to make it very simple, and it's not that in reality, in the sense that no, if this science is so simple, it would not have taken 50 years to develop. So that is the point I want to make. But at mathematical level, or for somebody as a beginner, you need to make a lot of simplified assumptions and to move forward and experiment. So as you matured, maybe at after one or two interactions, you will come to know that okay, so you are able to understand certain aspects of quantum systems. So with that, let me introduce the contents of this today's session. So first, I'm going to share the details of requirements of software packages. Okay, so what are all the things needed? Second is introduction, then quantum, the basic elements of quantum computing. Fourth is representing a qubit states. Fifth is single qubit gate. Sixth is case for quantum computing. And I'm referring to a textbook given by IBM Qiskit. So at any point of time you want to refer or understand more or read more, I'll give that link. Go to the textbook and now keep reading about it. And I would advise after today's session, spend some time reading the textbook so that by tomorrow's or next day after tomorrow's class, you are ready with some basic understanding. So requirements, we need Python distribution Anaconda. Hope all of you have already installed it. So second is Jupyter Notebook. This is the IDE we are going to use. Third is we need to install Qiskit, which is quantum SDK basically offered by IBM. Then you can also install Qiskit textbook. Okay, so these are the 4 elements that are needed for this lab sessions. Okay, so I assume all of you already downloaded and installed these elements. Right, shall I proceed with? Hope all of you have these elements.
Yeah, I have already asked them to download all this.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so let us go to the introduction. But before we really speak about quantum computing, let us take this word computing out. Anyway, quantum is so complex. So where do we start this session? So let us take the word computing. And what is the meaning of computing? How to interpret computing? So from there we will slowly go to the complex world of quantum computing. So for me, computing or it's basically computing refers to storing of information and processing of information, right? So I'll give one simple example, maybe at grandmother level example, like if you have some information, like I want to store information of milk delivery at my home, right? Okay, so in a month, so wherever I mark blue, that cell represents on that particular day the milk is delivered, and the empty cell represents milk is not delivered, right? So very low level example, but all of us are familiar with this example, right? So what I'm trying to do is I want to store information of delivery of milk. Okay, so blue will refer to milk delivered, empty will refer to milk is not delivered. This is storage part. At the end of the month, before you pay the bill, what do? You compute how many blues are there, how many empty cells are there, right? So these blues, summing of blues, this is nothing but processing of information, right? So you are storing information and processing information. And for this, what computer I'm using? A simple, a wall-mounted calendar page I'm using. So this, now I can easily say that this page of calendar is a computer, right? For a layman. So he is storing information, is able to do processing part of information, and basically is built a computer on the wall with what I can say. If you say them as bits or qubits, whatever, so you have 31 bits to store the delivery of milk information. Let us pause for a moment and understand. So formal definition of computer from this example I'm trying to generate is to know something that can store information, or I can say a device that can store information, a device that can process information. So elements like storage and processing are fundamental building blocks of any computing device. That's what we say. So moving on, there are various ways people use mechanical devices, vacuum tubes. There are many using electrical circuits to store the information and process information. So there are multiple ways to perform these functions of storage and processing. Okay, so whenever you see somebody speaking about a latest high-tech gadget of computing, so essentially they're speaking about a device that can store and that can process information, right? So I'll give this example of electric button, so that we see at our home. So it has 2 states, on state and off state. This is also nothing but storage of information. So one state represents availability of current, and the other state represents unavailability of current. And this particular on-off logic can help us to lit the bulb fully, or you can shut off the bulb. Okay, so in our traditional switches, what you have is you have a bulb that is fully glowing or it is not glowing. Okay, it is a two-state or binary system, either it is on or off. But if you take some examples like ceiling fan, right, a table fan, where you have a regulator and it can take all 6 or 5 positions, and the user has the flexibility to choose one number among these 5 numbers. So either it can be 0 or 1 or 5 or 6. This regulator itself is a computing device which can take a continuous value from a very low level of current to a very high level of current, and by using this you can have various speeds of a fan. Okay, so this the second picture, now binary switch, is nothing but a bit. If you represent, if you want to speak in more formal computing language, this is a switch, this is a circuit or whatever you say, but it can take two states, either ground state or excited state or on state or off state. And whereas your fan, it can take any continuous value between 0 and 6 or 5. Okay, so this is also a computing device. So far we discussed about 3 kinds of computing systems. One is a wall mounted calendar, second is binary switch, third is a continuously varying current resistor or regulator. So with this thing in mind, let us move on. And now we can formally say this is a binary information system, and the picture on the right side is a multi-state information system. So there is a hint I'm trying to give that what is this multi-state information system. So maybe this will open up new thoughts and connect us to quantum systems. That's why I'm trying to bring up this analogy. So let us take coin. Okay, so all of us are familiar with coins, and it has heads and tail. So it's a binary system. So it's like any switch we discussed just now. So a coin can also a switch, either it can take heads position or tails position. And whenever you toss and take them back, so after tossing experiment is over, when you want to look at the coin, either you find it in head position or tail position. So if I say head is represented by number 1, tail is represented by number 0, what I can say is either you can see the coin in head position or tail position. So you cannot see them in both positions at one instant of time. So this is once your tossing experiment is over, either it will fall back to heads or tail. But whereas if you try to capture its transition from one state to other when it is in the air, when it is in the tossing operation, when it is undergoing the flipping operation, right? So you can simply say that it is taking both values, heads and tail, simultaneously. So that is a okay. So we have a system where once it stabilizes, it will fall back to head or tail. You have a system where it can take both values, right? So and you can correlate the first system where whether you can either it can fall back to head or tail can be thought like a binary system, or a system where it can take multiple states during its tossing operation. It can be treated equal to that quantum system that we will come to later. But the point to be observed is a classical coin after the tossing operation, either it can give 0 or 1. During the coin transition, it can take both values, and if you have a high speed camera to measure that, you can see the transition operation of head to tail. And remember, it is existing in both states simultaneously. That is a point. Okay, it is 0 and 1 in right part of the picture. On left part of the picture, either it is 0 or 1. So in earlier example, we have used coin to store information, but if you more want to formalize the system, we can use any material, like people use silicon popularly with its chemical and physical properties. So the point is, a material can hold certain information based on its building blocks, atoms, protons and electrons and neutrons. So this presence and absence of electrons we are using to capture the information, and multiple of such things form the transistor. So transistor is a basic building block in electronic computing world. Okay, so the gist of this entire slide is presence and absence of one particular fundamental particle, either electron or proton, neutron, anything you can use. But in this system, we are using electron presence and absence to store the information. And each chip consists of multiple number of transistors. So transistors, you can find thousands of transistors are sitting in one chip, right? That is the now system miniature system we have today. So I'm giving certain references during my lecture. So whenever you feel no, you did not understand or you did not follow it up thoroughly, you can refer to the reference where I took this information. Because I'm trying to bring up a large multi-physics kind of understanding for this subject. So that's why no, I keep throwing various links. This is from chemistry, and now somebody wrote a very good article on what exactly is a bit. Whenever we say no 32-bit or 62-bit, what exactly is this? And no, what is happening at a material level, these aspects can be understood better. Okay, so with that background, let us understand why computing. So I'm not saying what is computing, but I'm saying why computing. Why people are fond of doing research. Why people are fond of building quantum systems. So we need to understand that clearly. Okay, why quantum is picking up. Why people are fond of quantum science. See, there is a law called Moore's law that says that number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years. So that is a statement Moore's law makes, right? So for every 2 years, you see, number of transistors doubling on size. And what is the implication of this law? So this law leads to one important observation, right? So you will lead to a position where your classical mechanics are not cannot explain the phenomena that is happening at that small level of size. Okay, so in a chip, if you are able to put 10,000 transistors, and by next year you have 20,000 transistors, so the laws of physics that you are using for explaining the 10,000 transistor per area chip to the 20,000 transistors per area chip, the laws will be different. So that's why people felt that classical mechanics cannot explain the phenomena at this miniature scale. And the right side graph, you see, how the number of transistors in a chip are doubling each year. So this is one. Second aspect is the certain problems, like some problems cannot be solved by classical computer. Whenever when I say cannot be solved, it will take more time to solve. So that is a point I'm trying to make. So it might take few years or few months or few days, and in comparison to that, quantum computing can do in few minutes or a few milliseconds. So that is two important points I'm making here. One is why quantum. You are approaching a limit for the classical mechanics at that chip size level. You cannot use classical mechanics anymore to explain what is happening. That is one reason. Second is you want to solve problems that are not solvable by classical computers. So these two are the popular reasons why people are going for quantum computing. So then I'm trying to answer the popular question of what is quantum computing, right? So I try to answer why quantum, then we'll come to what is quantum. So quantum physics is a term, it's a mathematical model. So this is important, right? Whatever we are discussing, whatever people are trying to build computers, they want to achieve a mathematical state, so which may or may not be possible in reality. That's why it is taking so much time to build these devices. So currently you have a system that is of a big shed kind of size. So what is needed is to go deeper and try to build a everyday usable quantum computer. So that's what everybody is trying to work out. And quantum computing is a mathematical model. It's first used to discuss the behavior of small things in laboratory, which expose gaps in the preceding theory of classical physics. So quantum theory explains this behavior and gives us a more complete picture of our universe. So this entire formal definition you'll understand, but the point is the complexity of computation, right? So as you know, we represent complexity of computation by big O notation, right? So big O in bracket n. So n represents the string length. Okay, so we'll come to it. What is this order n or no big O n is? So this is where now you compare how many basic elements or how many basic operations are needed to perform a computation task. Let us say I'm adding two numbers, right? So even though you're adding two numbers, but at fundamental level, you're trying to add two digits, and that operation you can say, you have sum and carry being calculated at each of this addition operation. So that entire, if you go deeper, multiplication or division or addition, subtraction, everything, if you calculate, there is an order of complexity, order of how many number of computations are needed to perform that particular operation. So in that comparison, the O for classical is higher, O for quantum system. If you execute same calculation on the quantum system, you will see very low resource utilization, very low runtime to solve same problem by quantum computer. So with that, let us come back to this kind position again. So just I'm making it more formal mathematical way of representing the kind toss experiment, right? So what I'm trying to do is take a coin. Okay, so maybe you can do that experiment wherever you are at home now. Take a coin, no 1 rupee coin or two rupee coin. You start in one position. When I say one position means either you start in head or tail, right? So let us start with head position, and then you do 10 times tossing operation and calculate the probability of finding the head. That means you toss the coin for this is what happens. So you start with head, and what is the probability you land up in head. You start with the head, what is the probability you land up in tail? Or you start with tail, what is the probability to land up in head? So you start with tail, and what is the probability to ending up in tail? So these are some basic operations you can do using a simple coin. So this entire multiple chain of operations, if you compute, what you can find is, after multiple operations, these probabilities, they get multiplied, then they get added to get a cumulative probability, and sum of all these probabilities will become one. So don't worry too much on this. I'm just trying to introduce some basic concepts. So, but the important observation here we need to make is position of the coin is represented by a vector, right? So this vector is 0, 1. That means I'm starting in head position. If I start in tail position, that vector I'm going to represent as 1 and 0. And what is the probability if I start with head? What is the probability it will move to head is given by 0.6. So I start with head and move to head is given by 0.6. I start with head and move to tail is given by 0.3. I start with tail and probability to move to head is given by 0.4. So this matrix essentially represents this operation of tossing, right? If I start here, what is the next state? Okay, how it is going to transition to next stage is given by this transition matrix I am referring here, right? It's a 2 by 2 matrix, and your initial state is a vector. So if I want to find what is going to happen to the coin after 2 seconds, let us say I am at the 0th second now. After 2 seconds, I want to find where it is. Then what I'll do, I'll take this matrix and multiply it with a vector, right? So you have a matrix and vector multiplication. And after this operation, you will see the coin is 0.3 and 0.7. That means the probability of reaching to this state is 0.3 and probability of reaching to a tail position is 0.3. So this is how you can see that the coin from the beginning to end, how it is transitioning from given head position or tail position, but how it is moving in the air can be computed. Now let us say, you have a coin with you and you have that matrix, what is the probability of that coin starting in head and how it is going to move to next position is defined. So that operation, the system that can exist in both states of head and tail, I'm going to call it a qubit. And whenever the coin is in, either is head or tail, that particular system I'm going to call is a classical computing. So if I have 3-bit, or 3 bits are equal to 3 coins, that's what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so that's why I introduced simple coin example, because the coin can be replaced and treated as a bit now. So this bit can take 0 or 1 or any number it can take among 0 and 1. Whereas qubit, it can exist in both states. So the way this matrix, after computing with vector 0 and 1, this matrix then show you a position that is 0.3 and 0.7. That means it is 0.3 units away from the head position, 0.7 units away from the tail position. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, so you have qubit defined now. So it exists in both states. The property by which a system can exist in both states is called superposition. So that's why you hear this word a lot, superposition, superposition. What it is, it is the property by which a particle can exist in both states simultaneously. That is a superposition. So let us take a scenario where you have 2 classical bits, right? So 2 classical bits can represent 4 possible states, right? 2 power 2. That's what it can represent. So let us look at the permutations of 2 classical bits. So it can be, first bit can be 0, second bit can be 1, or this can be 1, or this can be 0. Both of them can be 1, though both of them can be 0. So that's why you have 2 power 2 combinations of classical system. And very simple explanation for quantum computing, if somebody asks you, is to refer to this slide, right? So a classical 2-bit system can execute the computation 4 times, right? So I have a 2 classical bit system. It has 4 possible states, and each time it can compute one among those possible states. That is the classical system. Whereas in quantum bit, you can execute all those 4 combinations in one go. This is quantum speed up. That's what we are going to see. Okay, so what is quantum computer? Quantum computer, if you give it 2 bits, it can do 2 power 2 computations in one go. That means 4 computations in one go. If I give 3 bits, 2 power 3, 8 computations in one go. Whereas classical computer need to run the computation for 8 times. So instead of 8 times, quantum computer can run all 8 possible states in one iteration. That is the beauty of quantum computing. So if I have n qubit system, I have 2 power n possible permutations. That means I can have 2 power n computations executed in one iteration, whereas it will take 2 power n iterations for a classical computer. That is the basic difference. This is possible because of superposition property. Is there any simple analogy I can give for this kind of system? Let us say you have a mobile phone, some mobile app, maybe you have ICICI or SBI mobile app, and some of the apps, they allow you to put a 4-digit password, right? So let us say it can take 4 possible digits as a password, and they want you to use binary digits, 0 or 1 as a digit. So how many possible passwords we can keep is 2 power 4, right? So there are 16 possible password combinations one can set. So if somebody like a hacker wants to crack your password and do some unethical operation with your finance or ICICI bank, they have to try 16 times to unlock this password. So whereas a quantum computer can unlock this in one iteration. Okay, so that is a simple explanation I can give. So there are three important properties people generally refer in the literature. Quantum superposition, that's what I explained. Second is quantum entanglement. So what is this entanglement? And there is third property, quantum interference. So we are familiar with the superposition, the way I explained the coin. Second and third properties, they are a bit new to us. Entanglement, interference. Let us see what are those properties. So as I explained, superposition is the ability by which a particle can exist in both or multiple states. I cannot say both. There are infinite possible states that are possible. A fundamental particle exists in all possible states in one go. What is entanglement then? So entanglement is the property by which two particles are correlated or they're connected with each other. It's like two best friends. Now, if you know presence of one friend's information, you can infer on the status of the second friend, whether he will be available there or not, right? So that's how in the second picture, this entanglement property explains that there is a correlation between particle 1 and particle 2. So what is the implication of this property to computation, right? So when you do measurement, by looking at state of one qubit, you will be able to understand or measure, predict the status of the second qubit. Or in other words, if two quantum bits are entangled, by knowing information of one quantum bit, or if you fix the information of one quantum bit, second quantum bits information is fixed. Okay, they cannot take two independent states. That is the implication of this rule, quantum entanglement. Third is quantum interference. So it is a property which will allow us to bias quantum system towards desired state. So this particular property is used in Grover's search algorithm. Okay, so this is important. Interference, what is it? So interference, as we know from the physics, that it is a property by which two waves, when they interfere, their amplitude gets amplified. Okay, so there is a positive interference or negative or constructive or destructive. People use any word, but if they are constructively interfere means the amplitude of the two waves will increase. When they are destructively interfering means the amplitude gets nullified and you will say a simple plane wave. And this property is important property because whenever I want to, let us say out of the 16 possible states, okay, referring back to old slide, I say, look at this password example. This mobile app is a 4-digit password and there are 16 possible states possible for this password. But out of the 16, there is one particular set of digits that is the answer for that is the right iteration. So quantum system uses certain interference techniques to extract that particular answer digit combination. Okay, so you will see these things applied majorly in QFT, quantum Fourier transformation, Grover search algorithms. But at this stage, we don't need to worry much about interference and entanglement as a beginner. So entanglement and superposition, I'll explain you with certain examples, maybe in later sessions. So with that background, let us move to formally representing a quantum system. Okay, so quantum system is represented by a Greek symbol psi. So this is a psi I'm speaking about. Whenever you see this symbol, that means they are representing a quantum state. And each quantum state is represented by alpha times 0 plus beta times 1. So alpha is probability of measuring the system in 0th position. Okay, so ground state, and beta represents the probability of measuring the system in state 1. And this theta represents the how many degrees it is away. And in real sense, what is this degrees? So degrees is nothing but how much probability it will fall back to 0. But when you represent them as a circle, you will see that as a theta. Okay, so this 0 to current, if I say psi is a state, and by the way, one more information I wanted to give. So this particular way of writing is called ket notation. So there is a bra and there is a ket. So Ket notation represents a column type of representation. Bra represents a vertical way of representation. So whenever you see a vertical line and greater than symbol in between 0 or 1, that means they are speaking about a quantum system. That's what it means. And these probabilities, if you square these alpha and beta, add them up, they'll become 1. Okay, so to put it in simple terms, alpha square represents probability of measuring the system in 0th position. Beta square represents the probability of measuring the system in 1 position. That's what it is. So there are various. See, the point is, how do I achieve such system? So mathematically, all this discussion is fine. So I want a system. After collapse, it should fall back to 0 or 1, but during its operation, it can exist in any state. So that is the property I want. And after formulating this property mathematically, I want to explore the physical systems by which I can achieve this particular combination. So there are various ways people have tried. One is superconducting qubits. So if you look at all these technologies, what they are trying to achieve is achieve a state of superposition of keeping a particle in all possible states. Okay, so one is superconducting, second is trapped atoms, third is silicon spins. So if I want to summarize, this is what all these systems, various possible quantum computers. So today somebody is using superconducting loops, somebody is using trapped ions, somebody is using quantum dots, or somebody is using topological qubits, and fourth one is diamond vacancies. And there is one important property that is called longevity. So longevity refers to the how much time this particular particle can exist in the superposition state. So longer, the better would be the system, right? And we are using there are many other properties that we need, but at high level, this is the types of quantum states systems that can help us to achieve the quantum state. And Google, IBM, they are using superconducting loops, and the platform which we are going to work, Qiskit. So that is being offered by IBM. So the IBM offers a system that runs on superconducting loops. So these are some of the terms I put together. So quantum supremacy, I took these definitions from the literature, but at high level, what it means is, what is the advantage or what is the speed up you will get if you solve a problem using quantum computer instead of classical computer. That refers to quantum supremacy. There is one more term called quantum volume. It is it is a combination of both errors and the capability of measurements. It's a bit complicated, but not to worry. I'll come back to this definition again during the FDP. So there are two terms you keep hearing: quantum supremacy and quantum volume. So coming to hardware, it's important to understand whenever you speak about quantum, people immediately ask which platform we are using and what is the hardware it runs on. If you look at companies like Amazon, they use, let me go to Amazon, a system that is called Quantum Bracket. Okay, so Bracket is a service through which we can use quantum computing facility by D-Wave or many other hardware providers. You can look at this, D-Wave, IonQ, and Rigetti. So these three hardwares can be used in combination with AWS, as a platform. So that's why today you have multiple platforms, multiple softwares available, like IBM, Google, Honeywell, Rigetti, and D-Wave, IonQ. Okay. Coming to programming tools or software elements, most popular recent times is Qiskit, which is offered by IBM. Next is Cirq. This is basically Q, that is typo there. and Forest or PyKill, QAsh by Microsoft, Ocean by DB. So all these programming tools are there in the market. So now let us get into the session of going to the lab. First thing you need to do is go to quantum-computing.ibm.com, right? So go to this, right? So please repeat the steps I'm doing. So what I'm doing is, let me log out and start afresh. Okay, so go to quantum-computing.ibm.com and log in with your credentials. So I already created login using my Gmail. That's fine. I'm logging in using Gmail. Right. Any challenges to access this website?
No, sir.
No,
We are on
right?
the same page.
Yeah. Okay. So on the right side, you see your information, account information. So let us go here, account details, and you see something called API token. So which is the one you have to copy if you want to run it local Jupyter notebook. So let me open a Jupyter notebook, right? So I'm opening a Jupyter notebook. Okay, let it open. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is, there are two ways to interact with the system. Okay, so let us go to quantum computer. One is quantum composer, which is more of GUI interface. Second is lab, where you need to you can run using Jupyter notebooks. So today we'll spend some time, majority of time on using GUI interfaces.
Sir, kindly go slow because I have
Repeat.
to change the tabs. I have to change the tabs because I come here, then I go to that tab and I'm like that.
Okay.
Repeat
So
the steps.
Sir, what is the username and password? Could you please repeat, sir?
That you
okay.
need to create it.
Okay, I'm doing again all these steps. Wait, so I'm signing out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go to this quantum-computing.ibm.com. I'm sharing the link in the chat box, so you can click on that.
There is no chat box.
Oh, sir, can you share this link?
So chat is disabled. You can share it on WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay, so for today, can you can you type these letters? HTTPS quantum-computing.ibm.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are
Yeah,
on that page.
please. Yeah, and after that you need to sign in.
Yes.
Okay, you go here, create a IBM ID. Okay, go here.
That's created.
Okay, so you can do here. I already created, so that's why I'm using my existing credentials. Okay, so IBM.
No, we can go through the Gmail now.
Yeah, you can go through Gmail. That's what you see. All these.
And here he stay up to date with latest news. Okay, got it.
Got it. Create with Gmail.
Okay, I have created by Gmail.
Yeah.
Authorization required. So
Yeah.
authorization I have to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, please give us 2-3 minutes. Let us.
Yeah. I'm waiting. No problem.
Create your
login.
account through Google. It is very easy. Okay.
Yeah. That's better.
Which we have to select, sir.
Repeat. What was the question?
Sir, launch come lab
Composer. Wait.
Composer.
Let all people create the accounts.
Okay, sir. ठीक है sir.
You all please create your account through Google itself. You click Google, then the ID will be whatever your Google ID, Gmail ID. So your account creation is over?
Yes, sir. Over.
Okay, everybody, please try it.
Done, sir.
Okay, that's great. Ravi sir, you can carry on. They have created their account. What is the next step?
Okay, so log in with Gmail. So I'm
ये
doing.
अच्छा से हमने दो वो भी खाएंगे ना. Okay, so account is created.
Okay, log in with that.
Log in.
Log in, sir.
Okay, logged in. You can see this screen in front of you.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Now we can see this.
Okay, so
Yes,
there
sir.
are two. Okay, let us spend some time on the screen. What are these things? One by one, I'll explain. So first one is quantum composer. Composer is the one where you interact with the quantum computer using GUI interface. Let me click on this, launch composer. Okay, this is what you will see. This is a graphical user interface for quantum computer that is running in multiple places in the world. Let us look at which are all the places this quantum computer is running. Then now we will come back to that composer again. So you have these many quantum computers that are currently running. IBM Q Manila. So green dot online refer, that means the system is open. Now you can submit any run, it will execute for you. And it has a capacity of 5 qubits. And as I told, it has 32 volume. Don't worry about volume word because it's a bit complicated to explain at this stage. Leave it. Okay, so there is a quantum computer in Manila that has 5 qubits. In Santiago, there is 5 qubit quantum computer, Athens. And you can see, there is a 15 qubit quantum computer running in Melbourne, and it is in use. Okay, you cannot submit now any run. And you can see some other set of
Sorry to interrupt you, but when I have clicked on this composer, I could not. My screen is not same as yours. It is maybe just because we have logged in for the first time. So it is showing us composer files to be 0, and there are no untitled circuits, and there
Yes.
is some code beneath visualization C.
Yeah, because you don't have anything run on your system.
Okay,
Okay.
that is the reason.
Yeah, but whatever I'm showing, that is below, right? So click on this, view all here.
Click on view all, you will get.
Okay, sir.
Okay, click on this. Right?
Yes, sir, I got it now.
Okay, so there are two observations we need to make here. One is system, second is simulator. What are those? Systems are real quantum computers that are running in various places in the world. Okay, simulators are virtual quantum computers. That's why you see their qubit size is high. They are classical computers, but programmed to mimic like a quantum computer. This 5000 qubit system it's not a real quantum computer, but it is simulated to give that quantum effect. And why we need to have these two kinds of systems? Because you can test your algorithm, you can run your system in simulator, Once you are happy with the result, then you can move on to what I can say real quantum computer, right? That's why you have simulator and both simulator and quantum computer. There are two things that you can observe here. So let us come back again the initial page. Here I have quantum composer and quantum lab. So let us click on the composer. The composer has all these elements. Hello, any doubts?
Devendra Maharana, you want to ask something?
Sir, same screen as expected.
You all please mute yourself.
Okay. So let us start very simple algorithm, launch new file. So this is what, when you press on this launch new file, here, let me click on the new. This is a new file I am creating. In that, I'm deleting all the default qubits. So it is showing Q0, Q1, Q2. Let me delete this. Let me delete this. So what you can see now is Q0 and C1. Now let us come back to PPT. What is the meaning of these two Q0 and C1? Okay, so yeah, this is what we got. Now I'll pause there for a minute and explain some elements of Qiskit. Okay, so I'll come back to that composer again. So what is this Qiskit? Qiskit is a software development kit offered by IBM, and it can talk to IBM quantum computer. Okay, so this is how the quantum computer would look like. This is a quantum computer. So whenever I say that Athens and Melbourne, these are the computers. No, this is how their hardware looks like, and typically they are maintained in negative temperature, minus 273 Celsius temperature. That means they are in very cold condition. So why they are like that? It is difficult to maintain a particle in real atmospheric temperature. That's why we need to go to sub-zero temperatures or very cold temperature. So whenever I say there is a quantum computer I'm selecting for run, that you are selecting one of these hardware devices. That is the point you need to remember. Now coming back to elements of Qiskit. So Qiskit has majorly 4 elements. One is Terra, second is Aqua, third is Air, fourth is Ignis. So Terra is the one that has linkages with software and hardware elements. Aqua is the one where you build commercial applications like finance, machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms. Aqua is the one library that you use to interact with quantum computer at high level. So most of our algorithms you need to do this Aqua interface with Aqua. Then you have Air. Air is the simulator. So that's what I was explaining you. Simulator, it will try to mimic the behavior of quantum computer, and the simulators. There are various kinds of simulators. Okay, so you have Cosm simulator, state vector simulator. There are many types of simulators that are possible. So Air refers to simulator which you want to use for running the program. Aqua refers to software layer or business layer where you can create applications. Ignis is the one where you want to play with errors and noise. So what is this error? Error refers to the change the error value or the difference value of the probabilities when you measure the output of quantum computer and a simulator. So simulator, you can achieve a perfect quantum effect, but whereas in real computer, you will see always there is an error or noise. That's why somebody who is interested in the hardware side, you can now discuss more on Ignis. And in current session, we will not discuss much about Ignis. Okay, so Ignis is not our interest in this session. We are mostly interested in Aqua and Air. These two are the things we are interested, and Terra is the one that will connect to your hardware. So now let us start with the lab session. So I'm going to Composer, and in the lab session there are some fundamental building blocks how a circuit is defined. So quantum circuit contains two inputs. Okay, so whenever you go to IBM Qiskit and say quantum circuit, here in this example I'm using n_q and n_b. So q comma b, these two are the inputs I'm using, right? So what it means, I want the Qiskit to give me a circuit that has 8 classical bits, 8 quantum bits. Okay, so whenever you say, okay, let me take a Jupyter notebook, then you will understand. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is create a new Jupyter notebook. Okay, so I'll do pip install Qiskit. I think all of you have done this. Again, I'm doing. Okay, done. It's already requirement is met. Now next step is import. Okay, now Qiskit is already installed. What I'm going to say, let me call this notebook as a day 1. Okay, so this is day 1. Day 1 session. So what I'm going to do is from Qiskit import quantum circuit. Okay, I can install from Qiskit import Air. Air means this is a simulator I want to use for computing. Now let me create a simple circuit. That circuit will have 8 quantum bits and 8 classical bits. Why we need to have this classical and quantum combination is, quantum system you cannot measure. That is a challenge with the quantum systems. So once you measure, the system will collapse. So what we generally do is collapse the system and measure and write them back to a classical bit. So that's why in this example, let us start with n is equal to 8, n_q is equal to 8. That means I am creating a system with 8 classical bits. n_c, this number refers to classical bits. Okay, so now let us name this with some name. Okay, so let me call QC_output. QC_output is equal to quantum circuit n_q comma n_c. So okay, now let us see what is this circuit, whatever we created, how it looks like. So let me take this circuit. Okay, so I'll repeat these steps and all of you follow with me. So step number 1, I'm creating a class. Okay, that is from Qiskit import quantum circuit. First step. Second is from Qiskit import Air. Second one. Third one is define the number of qubits, define the number of classical bits. Now you build a circuit. Okay, so you are trying to build a circuit. So let me stop here. What are the steps you do generally is these kind of steps, right? So define a circuit, add measurement, run and read results. These are the 4 standard steps that are involved in quantum computing. So let me go here. This is where I am defining the circuit. The circuit will take two parameter. Hello.
Sir, can we come to that respective page and follow your steps?
Okay. Okay. You missed it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah. Look at this. Now
Yeah,
it's
I'm on
clear.
Jupyter.
Okay. So define circuit. First one add measurement. Third is run. Fourth is read results. These are the four
Correct.
steps. Now let us come back to Jupyter Notebook. So what I am doing, I am defining, I am importing the necessary ingredients to build a circuit. So first
Now, how to
ingredient
come to
is,
this screen, sir? From the Jupyter
Sir,
notebook?
excuse me, sir.
yeah.
In Jupyter notebook,
We are on the Jupyter notebook, but how to come to this screen?
Okay, okay. So let me redo these steps. Okay, I am opening Jupyter
Yeah.
server again. Okay, I got it
sir,
here.
it is
Now,
necessary to write the numbers 1, 2, 3.
New. Okay.
okay, new Python 3.
Just wait, sir. New Python 3. Yes.
Done.
Just wait, sir. Now we are on that page. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Give a file name. Go to file.
Go to file.
Yeah. Rename. Okay. I'm giving day 1 A. Let us say day 1 A. Okay.
Yes.
Done.
Yes, done.
Okay. So first thing I need a object to hold this circuit that I'm importing from the Qiskit. So from Qiskit import quantum circuit. This is how you define a circuit.
But I have a question. Since I'm working on Google Colab, so I have installed Qiskit on Colab. So every time when I'll work on Colab, I will have to reinstall it.
No, not needed.
Okay, so that is just a one-way process. Only one time we have to install it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I imported quantum circuit.
Sir, here you are giving before the code 1, 2, 3 numbers. Is required, sir?
No. See, I'm not giving. The Jupyter Notebook is generating these numbers, and this is because I'm using certain extensions. This is for our benefit only. It is giving certain numbers. You can go to that. It will automatically create those numbers. Look at this.
Sir, how to come on the next slide?
Run.
Because when I'm pressing insert.
Run.
Okay, run. Okay, run.
It is saying that model is not existing, no model name. I just imported yesterday. It is saying that no model named Qiskit.
It is not there. You could not install it properly. That is the issue.
Oh, okay.
You can do it now. You have Anaconda, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you with Anaconda. Okay, let me go to Anaconda prompt.
Okay.
If we install Qiskit.
Yes.
Sir, it's giving me the error, that is module not found error.
Anaconda 3 I have actually.
Okay, pip
Navigator.
install.
Anaconda Navigator 3. Okay.
Yeah. No, not Navigator 3. Anaconda itself, not Navigator.
Okay. Anaconda
Let me go to Anaconda site once again. Okay, Anaconda.
Once installed properly, it will work. No problem.
Anaconda sorry. நேத்து நம்ம Qiskit இன்ஸ்டால் பண்ணோம் அது வர மாட்டேங்குது. நான் கேட்டேன். ஏன் தெரியல.
Okay, you go to, if you are Windows user, click here. Okay.
Looking to the property of the computer, maybe 64-bit or 32-bit.
Yeah, so press here. You will download, then start installing. That's all.
At the end, it will ask, sir, something.
Yeah, you need to, it will ask for the path. Yeah.
Sir, Anaconda I have installed, but this Jupyter is I'm not able to install because it is showing some go to Conda, go to Mamba, go
sir,
to
once you have installed Anaconda, Jupyter launch Jupyter Notebook. The Anaconda.
See, once you have, yeah. if I type here in the search bar Jupyter, it is automatically guiding me, right? Right? Any doubts?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
So,
here,
in my case,
You all please ask queries one by one. Don't ask simultaneously at a go. Okay.
Yeah, please ask. First one.
yes, sir. After running that first command, that is from Qiskit import quantum circuit, I'm getting the error. That is model not found error.
You have not installed in your Jupyter notebook. You first pip install you have to do no in the command prompt. Once you have did that, then Jupyter you can import. In the command prompt, you install Qiskit first, then go to run it. Or else in the same Jupyter also you can do.
See, in the next cell you type this pip install Qiskit.
Okay.
Shift enter. Or run it.
Okay.
Done?
Done, sir.
Just wait. Yeah, done, sir.
Okay.
Now there is no error.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you can import, sir. No problem.
Okay. So let us repeat these steps. So I started a notebook. I started a file named it as day1. In the cell number 1, I said from Qiskit import quantum circuit. I ran it. Move to next cell. From Qiskit import air. Ran it. Now define the number of qubits you want to have. I want to have 8 qubits and 8 classical bits. Run this. Now create a circuit and draw the circuit. Why? What is this meaning of draw circuit? See, you are able to graphically visualize what is a circuit and you don't see anything, like they are only numbers. So Q0 is a qubit 1, Q1 is qubit 2, Q2 is qubit 3, Q3 is qubit 4. These are the 8 qubits, 0 to 7, and always numbering starts with 0, right? Now all of them are in 0 state. When you go to our Kain example, 0 means we are starting in head. So that is what our system is starting in 0. This is the simple circuit we built. Now what we say, you need to add a measurement. See, quantum system as such, it will initiate the particle and keep in superposition. You need to add measurement step. Okay, so that's why I'm writing these elements for j in the range of n. For j in range of n, QC output dot measure j comma j. So let us see what this step is going to do. And every time you add certain elements, just plot it using draw command. So draw. Now what happened? You created a circuit, added measurement. That's what we said. No, create a circuit and add measurement. Right? I could add measurement. Okay. Now what is after that? What I'm supposed to do? I need to send this circuit to a quantum computer, right? So for that, what I'm doing, let me first, I need to decide which simulator I want to use. Okay, so sim is equal to air dot get, okay, get underscore backend and QA SM underscore simulator. Okay, what is that we are doing here? I am instructing Jupyter Notebook use this simulator, QASM simulator, for running the program which we have written. Now I am defining something called QObject. QObject is equal to assemble. So I need to install one more library, that one more class, that is assemble. Assemble means it will assemble all the circuits together before you send it to a computer. Okay, so import assemble. Right. Okay. So.
Sir.
Yeah.
At the time of running that Qiskit import AER, it's giving me the error.
Spell check. Spelling is correct.
Yeah. QISKIT import AER.
Capital AER.
Capital AER.
Capital AER. So I am able to run successfully.
Yes, sir. Now it's running.
Running?
Yes.
Now I am defining a QObject. What is this QObject? QObject is the one that will go to quantum computer. So just I am saying QObject is equal to assemble. See why this assemble is coming is in larger programs when you want to develop algorithms. Initially you write them as separate programs and assemble together as a single circuit. That's why I am using this. So QC. Now QObject is defined. What happens? QObject will be sent to the simulator. So result is equal to sim dot run. This is where you are running your program, QObject, right? QObject, then dot result, right? So far what we have done, I created a circuit, I defined a simulator, I assembled all the circuits together, and I got the result. So that result I am going to see. So the results are written back to our classical circuit. That's why we have defined here measure and store in classical. Now counts is equal to result dot get counts. Okay, so counts are the probability number we got. Now I want to plot those results. So for plotting I need to import something from Qiskit import plot from Qiskit import plot histogram. Right. What happened? Histogram. So this is, it requires Qiskit dot visualizations. There is separate module in that. From there you need to install this histogram. This is over. Okay, so results are over. Now I need to plot.
Sir, just show the code, sir. Visualization code. Okay.
Okay.
These all are there in a Qiskit book, sir. You can get the codes, no problem.
Okay, sir.
I am going as per the textbook so that you can go back and when you want to understand, you see same example there in the textbook. That's why I'm using as it is from the textbook.
Which textbook, sir?
Okay, let me show you the textbook.
Yeah.
Go to qiskit.org. Go to documentation. here in the resources, Qiskit textbook. Okay, you can see this entire chapter here. Read the textbook. As in homework, maybe you can read the chapter 1. This is what we are doing today. So number of qubits are 8.
I missed the resources part. I mean, like I've just clicked on documentation after that.
Okay, after documentation, go to resources. There you find Qiskit textbook.
Okay.
Done? Right?
Yes, sir.
Shall I proceed?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a majority of our learning, I am going as per this textbook, so that your learning you can now go back and validate whatever result I am getting. Same thing should be there in the textbook. Okay. If you want to further deeper knowledge, then we can have separate session on that. But as a beginner, I'm just following the textbook. So let me go to the textbook again. So let me go to documentation. Let me go to Qiskit. Read the textbook. I'm going to atoms of computation. Then we have these circuits and all. Don't worry, whatever you are not able to understand, I'll explain in the further next classes. Okay, so once I do this, I got this plot. Histogram counts, right? Now you can do this. You can plot the histogram. So what is this graph is all about? That's what we need to understand. Why we are saying result as a count? In quantum systems, you cannot measure the result as it is. You are going to measure the result or whether the particle is in 0th or 1 state based on its alpha and beta values. That's what we discussed.
Probability.
Right? Probabilities. So let me go back to this alpha and betas. So your quantum particle is is in psi state, which is a combination of alpha times 0 and beta times 0. But what happens? You cannot make a particle to sit in 1 position or 0 position or in between position. That's why you do this experiment 1024 times. These are called shots. 1024 shots. What happens is, if you are, let us take you are sending laser, and to activate one particular electron, some particle which we are considering as a quantum particle, and you need to send this laser 1024 times. Out of this 1024 times, how many times it landed up in 1, how many times it landed up in 0 is given by this plot. So in this example, all 1024 times, all qubits, they landed back to 0. That's why you see probability of 1. Guys, any question here?
Yes, sir. Actually, I was also doing along with you, and I have installed this Qiskit. When I am executing the libraries where we are importing, I'm not getting error, but I'm getting the error in the sim is equals to aer.get backend, and the error is that it could not import the aer. I need to reinstall it, and I reinstalled the going back into the command prompt. Still, this your line number 8, it is not executing in my environment.
Any spell mistakes? Please check. As
it is sim.aer.get backend.
Sim is equal to AER, capital AER, dot get underscore backend, Quasum simulator, Quasum underscore simulator. And that should be in inverted quota. Anything you are going to miss in Jupyter Notebook, that will not execute, it will show you error only. Or else shift tab. within the same line, shift tab, you put the execution command will be available to you.
See, you need to shift tab, then you will understand what is the nomenclature of this entire command you will get.
The signature pen will ready with you for the particular command.
Right?
So I've written it exactly the same way, but I don't know why I'm getting error in this particular.
Yeah, share the screen.
Yeah, sure, I can do that, sir. Sir, is my screen visible?
No. Yeah, now it is coming up.
Yeah. Sir,
okay, go up, go up.
Actually, it is asking to install it again. I have done it that. But
okay, got it. Do this. Install Qiskit AER again. Yeah.
Sir, I have done that also. I can show my entire screen. Actually, just now I've shared the tab. I'll share the entire screen, and I can show the command prompt also. But in that also, it's being installed.
You move to top, madam, just with your screen.
I did that again. See, it is written, the requirement is already satisfied. I did it second time.
In your Jupyter notebook, stop the kernel and run once more. Run all cell. Let us check that.
Stop your kernel once.
Kernel. One square button, black square button will be there in a Jupyter notebook. Stop that and restart once more. Sometime it happens.
Okay. Okay, sir, I will do that.
Yeah. Or else, if any library requirement is coming, then import star. If you will give, then all the libraries will be available at a single command.
Okay, I have clicked on interrupting kernel, and then now I need to run it again.
Yeah, run all. Go to cell and run all.
So it is same error, still the same.
From beginning, you have to run, madam.
Run all, madam. Go to cell. One attribute is cell. Click there. Then run all. Run above. Likewise, it is there in Jupyter.
Yes, sir. I have found that.
Yeah.
I clicked on run all. Still, it is the same.
Okay, we can resolve your issue one-on-one. So we'll spend some time on that. Let us proceed with this today's agenda.
Sure, sir. I will try it on Google Colab if in case it works there.
But majority, yeah. So majority of you, yeah. Okay, so I assume majority of you could follow whatever you have been, installing and trying to import.
Yes, sir. I'm following
any
you.
challenge is there?
Yes, sir. No issues, sir. I'll try to rectify it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you could, So what I'm saying is, what is this plot histogram? This you need to understand. See, the way we have now, if you go to bit, classical bit, what you do?
Sir, you please share your screen. You have not shared. Please share your screen, sir.
The madam needs to answer.
Yeah. Okay. Let me explain what is this.
You all please mute yourself. A lot of noise is coming. Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. In a bit, classical bit, if I want particle to make assume the position of 0, it will do, right? If I make particle to sit in the position of 1, you can know it will go and sit there. But quantum particle do not obey your commands. Okay, so if I ask it to sit in 0, it may go and sit in 1. That's how complex it is. It will not. You are not certain what is happening to this. So that's why you instruct it to do some job. Usually here in Qiskit we do 1024 times. Those are called shards. Shards is nothing but how many iterations, how many experiments you are doing on quantum computer, how many times you are making to run the circuit. In this particular circuit, 8 qubits, 8 classical bits, right? So 1024 times I made these qubits to sit in 0. and all 1000 times successfully they could sit, because they will sit successfully because I'm using Possum simulator. Then I'm not sending them to any computer. Okay.
What is that figure
So,
actually indicates?
Let us instead of okay.
So that figure
this
in question.
Figure, let me interpret.
No, not this figure. That circuit figure.
Here.
Go to
Here?
top, sir. Go to top.
9 number. Cell number 9, I think.
Yeah, this one.
Circuit diagram. Yeah.
Yeah, this circuit 7. Output draw.
Yeah, see, let me explain that. Every circuit in quantum system should have
Dr.
one
PK
measurement
Maji, you
step.
please mute yourself.
I define. Okay, instead of 8 qubits, let us take 1 qubit. Then you will understand. Let me take. Yeah. Okay. Instead of 8, let us take only simple 1 qubit. Right? Now you have a system where there is 1 qubit. Usually, whenever you define a quantum qubit, you need to immediately define classical bit, because that should talk to quantum computer. So let us start with 1 qubit. Okay, NQ is 1 and 1 classical bit, and I am defining a circuit named QC output. I can give any circuit, like this can be QC June 21. I can give that name, right? So let us maintain same name, QC underscore output. Okay. So I have in my program I need a quantum qubit and a classical bit, and after defining that I need to add a measurement step. Okay, so look at this. I have a circuit where there is a 1 quantum bit, 1 classical bit, and what this means, M means measurement. Measure the quantum Q0 and store it in C0. That means qubit 0, numbering starts with 0. That's why I'm using qubit 0. And even for classical also it starts with 0. So this Q0 is measured and stored back to classical bit. Right? Now, okay, so a circuit contains bits definition, qubits definition, then a measurement step, and this M represents the measurement process. Okay. Then you have simulator definition, job, results, count, and you got the count out, right? It has only qubit, and always 1024 times it was able to initiate the qubit in 0th position, and it was standing there, right? So far, no doubts.
Yeah, doubt is there, sir.
Yeah, which one?
Here we have just created the circuit, but we are not giving any gate operation, nothing we have did. So it is showing the ground state only, it will show how many circuit also we will create. Always it is in the ground state, no?
Yes, yes. Okay, so you are right. Okay, so
sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, we are creating a quantum circuit. And then we create various shots and then we take a plot. So again, if I run the quantum circuit, will I get the same plot any number of time it is?
You will not get. You will not get.
Then how will a system output I can predict or fix on to?
Yeah, that is a challenge. Every scientist is worried. That's where the error. Ignis research group is working. Okay, there is always probability associated with your results, but see, it is like this. You will have majority of times you will get right answer. Majority of times, not exact time. Exact. It is majority of times, right?
So how will we know it is right, sir?
No, there is no right answer here. It's only probabilities you are getting.
Maximum the probability we pick that to be the output.
That's all. Yeah, you will not claim this is the right answer. Right?
Okay. No.
Any doubts, others?
Sir, initially you have specified.
I did not get the.
You all please mute yourself, please. Yeah, my query is the number of quantum bits initial in the first example you have taken 8, and the classical bit as 8.
Yes.
But which bits are there that we don't know? It is 1, 0, that we don't know.
No, you can know that. See, now let us take old example 8. Okay.
So every time we have to take this classical one also, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now.
Okay, so and they need not be equal because what happens, some of the computations you don't measure all the qubits. Out of 8 you will only measure 2 or 3. That's why wherever you want to measure those many classical bits you need to give in the circuit, right? Now I have 8 qubits, and to start with all of them are zeros. All of them are sitting in 0. Whenever you see like this, that means they are in 0, ground state.
Okay.
Here actually we should get C1, C2, C3 up to 8 we should get, but this output dot draw this is not giving. But usually the way Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3 you need to have C0, C1, C2, C3 up to C8, C7 you need to have.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
And then the range comes as for J.
See, actually 8 times I need to give the measurement step. Instead of this what I can write is UC dot okay, I'll come back to that. Actually, what I'm trying to do is in this example, let me introduce the tool interface. I'll try to answer your specific questions one by one. What I'm trying to do now is I need to write 8 times the measurement step. Instead of that, I'm writing. Let me take this. Measure 0, 0. Let us type this. What happens? Okay. Look at this. What happened? You measure the 0th qubit and store in 0th classical bit. Let us say 1, 1. That means measure the one position qubit and write it back to 1 position classical bit. Right? Okay, sir, your doubt is clear? Any doubts?
Yeah. Miss 0 measuring 0 and 1 is measuring 1.
See, this M symbol is there, which what it is doing? Take Q0, do the measurement and bring it down, store it in 0th C. This is C0.
Okay, classical one. Okay.
Okay, and measure the Q1, store it in C1.
Got it, sir.
Classical bit, sir, that classical bit will also be visible using matplotlib inline maybe.
Yes. See, those are all things we can do. Okay, so various tools are there for visualization. We'll spend some time.
That's why it is classical bit is not showing. Matplotlib inline if you will give.
Yeah, it will show. Okay. So earlier this for loop, why I was using is instead of writing these 8 steps, I put all of them in one loop.
Okay.
Okay, let me go by these 8 steps only, then you will understand. 8 times I will write. Third one will be written to third.
Yeah, that is the
One will be fourth will be written to 4, right? 5 will be written to 5. 6 will be written to 6, and 7 will be written to 7. So let me rerun my Jupyter notebook. So this is written. Okay, you could see same circuit we got now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if I give MPL, this gives a better visualization. Nothing great about it, but in terms of look and feel, you will see a better visualization if I give MPL here. This is matplotlib MPL command. So we will spend some time on all the visualization aspects, then you will understand. Okay, now it is clear, more better way, right?
Yeah. So every time you are measuring your quantum bit corresponding to the classical bit. That is what you're doing.
Yeah, quantum bit is measured, that output is written to classical part. Yes?
Okay. Got it.
Done.
Sir, while plot histogram, there is coming the error.
What is that?
Name plot histogram is not defined.
You need to import it. See, in my cell number 2, I have this command. Look at this.
Okay.
Sir, could you please explain that graph, matplotlib graph, what it says?
This one?
Last one, sir.
Okay.
This
okay.
one.
What it means is we have conducted this circuit is implemented 1000 times by the computer which we have selected. This entire it takes 8 qubits and it will take to quantum computer once, and second time it will do, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, like that 1024 times it has done, and every time it took the measurement and stored. And all the 1024 times you could see all zeros in all 8 positions. That's why this probability 1 refers means count divided by 1000 gives this histogram. Right?
The number of shots by default it is 1024.
Yes.
Okay.
For this Qiskit.
Yeah, okay.
It can be deferred also. We can
It can be deferred.
also.
Yeah, you can give any number, but by default 1024 it will take. You can define any number. Okay.
Sure,
sir,
thank you.
Sir, still like you get count, right? So count in all the qubit quantum bits we got 0. So every time we are getting 0, right? You are saying that.
Okay. See, what is really possible? I can have all the ones. I can have all the zeros. I can have 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. All possibilities are there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But for this particular definition of circuit, what I got is all zeros all the times.
Okay.
Why this is happening? I am running this entire program in a simulator, which do not have any error.
You understand?
Okay. Now let us do same experiment. Go to our platform. Okay. Go to Composer. Okay, so by default it has 1 qubit and 1 classical bit. Let me add one more. One more. Okay, I think just a minute. So okay, it's okay. Let us do with 3 qubits only. Okay, not 3. Okay, let us do with 3 qubits. Q0, Q1, Q3 are the qubits, and C3 refers to 3 classical bits, and the single line refers to quantum bit, double line refers to classical bit. So whenever you read the circuit nomenclature, the single line, wherever you see single line, it's a quantum bit, double line refers to classical bit. All right. Okay, so let us come back to composer. Okay, now I defined these qubits. I want to measure. What I'll do, I'll take the in Qiskit we do measurements in Judd basis. What is this Judd basis? To a very low level way I will explain. Judd basis refers to measuring your qubit in Judd plane. That's all. Okay, you can measure in X plane or Y plane or Z plane, but in Qiskit we measure generally in Judd plane. So take this Z and keep it here. Keep this Z and keep it here. I'm trying to measure and write the results. Okay, I got the 3 qubits and I added measurement. What I want to do, take this circuit and run it in a computer. So go and here, set up and run. Look at this number, 1024 charts. I can decrease also, right? I can give 1000 for easy interpretation. I'm trying to give 1000 charts. 1000 times I want to run this circuit, right? Now let me name this day 1A, first exercise. Where I want to run, I can select any quantum computer. So let me select this Manila, this one, then run. Okay, it's running, it's in queue. It will take some time to run this circuit, then we will get the result.
So can you repeat this one time again?
Okay, I'll repeat. Let this over this particular run result.
So basically this program tells like how the qubits is initialized.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
These are all gates. S gate, T gate, I gate. These are all the gates. Gate is nothing but, you know, there we have in classical computing also we have AND gate, OR gate, right?
Yeah.
So these are the gates. Okay, let it run. It will take some time because there will be huge queue. So for your benefit, I'm creating new circuit again. So let me go to file, new file. Okay, and in that how many? Okay, let me. Let it complete, then I'll come back to that.
Meantime, sir, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Like in quantum computers, we are talking about the processing, like supervision of bits and entanglement. So, is there any like aspect also to storing these values in some storage, quantum storage, like whether storage we bit store in some classical format? So is there any mechanism we are talking about for storing the quantum information, persistent storage?
Okay, so that I cannot answer because people are trying to store this information as it is, but it is fragile, right? So that information, even for milliseconds, you are not able to keep the particle there.
Yeah,
So,
understand.
okay, so yeah, so this longevity just now we discussed. Longevity is how much? 0.00 some milliseconds, microseconds. Okay, so it is not able to hold that information for longer duration. So that's why people are always saying you go with classical and quantum combination. So quantum is good at running the computation, not for storing the computation, storing the information, right? Okay, so for processing it is speed. For storing, no, we need to work.
Okay, yeah, understand.
With sir's permission, I would just like to add one point here.
Yeah.
There is one concept like QRAM, that is quantum RAM, on which researchers are working right now.
Yeah.
So that will help to store persistent information in quantum computers. I think that will just supplement your answer.
Yeah. Actually, whatever we are running, no, this itself is like a QRAM only. All this Jupyter, no, whatever the program you are seeing, it can be called as RAM because for a short span it will run and process the information, but for longer duration it's a challenge, right? So while running the computation it is there, but it is a mix of both classical and quantum approach.
So you are talking about decoherence, right? So decoherence time is
yes.
very few. So we cannot extend the decoherence time for that that state. Yeah. Okay.
It will take some time to reach to that level of maturity.
Yeah.
Still it is running. So meanwhile, for everybody's benefit, let us create a new circuit. Okay, this is the new file I'm starting, and this file contains this time let us experiment with only 2 qubits, so Q0 and Q1. On that, so whenever I initiate, they start in 0th position, and take the Z gate and put it here. That means you are running, you are measuring these qubits. And set up and run. So I want to run it for 1000 shots. Let me give tutorial 2. Then run. Where I want to run, let me run in Santiago, different computer now. Okay. Yeah, let us look at the old jobs also. What is their status? This is still running, earlier job. These are my old runs that are completed. Okay, I think we have only 4 minutes left for today's session. So what I would advise is do this textbook installation and complete the first circuit, whatever we have been doing today, right? This circuit.
Yes, sir. 1.2.
Yeah, 1.2.
Yes, yes. We'll do that.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. While we are taking the circuit in our simulator part, whenever we did in Jupyter, always we are taking 8 classical, 8 or 2, whatever, for classical bit side by side for our qubit we are taking. What will happen if we will not take the classical bit? Then can we measure?
You cannot measure. See, the measurement has to be written somewhere, right? It's like notebook.
Yeah, that's important. Why the classical bit actually what it is going on whenever we are taking the classical bit and the qubit means that quantum property is something that is collapsing that cannot be measured if we will not take that classical bit. Maybe.
Yeah. See, it is like this. I can give a crude example. It is like you have a camera in your hand and just taking the photograph. Whenever that quantum bit is going through various states, at every microsecond, keep clicking the photographs, right? That photograph you bring and store it in classical part. Right?
Fine, sir. That theory part is something if we can get, then one can easily understand the circuit part. That's it.
Yeah. So tomorrow's assignment I can put down here. So assignment number 1. Okay. Read chapter 1 of textbook. Execute the example circuit. This is the assignment number 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll stop it here. Any queries I can take? 1 more minute.
Sir, there is a site qc-sim.appspot.com. That site is quite simpler than this. What
is that? QC dot?
QC minus sim. QC minus sim dot appspot
appspot.com.
Appspot. Are you there in the WhatsApp group? I can write it there.
Yeah, please add me to WhatsApp. Then we can interact there. Okay.
Yeah, actually, this site is quite simpler, but the things which you have done is like that site is for smaller examples.
Okay.
But that is quite simpler. Today the things you have covered now, that I will have to go through the video, and again I will have to do once again. I was not able to keep in pace with you.
Okay.
So but you please go through that site. I want to know if it is okay to use that site or not.
Okay. Okay. So whatever I am.
QC minus sim. You can write, sir. QC minus sim. QC minus sim.
Okay.
Dot.
QC. You can directly type in Google. Google.
Yeah, directly type in. Everyone can see that. Yeah.
QC minus sim dot app.
Appspot. App. After app there is no a. Appspot only. Appspot.com.
This
yeah,
one?
this one, yeah.
Okay.
You can write one like 2 qubit text, 2, 3, whatever like that. So
Okay.
you write at
These
least
are
2 qubit.
likewise many composers are there, sir.
Yeah. See, actually, whatever.
So,
Yeah.
This is a composer.
yeah, this is a composer, but it is quite easier than the composer.
Still also, sir, without going to the Qiskit book, if we are not aware of the funda part, what we will do with composer? At least we need to understand the basics first. Then only we can do something.
See
Yeah,
what?
that is.
See what they have created, a nice GUI they created. That's all. User interface is what is created here, right? Okay. So for education purpose, this is good. But what my intention is, you should go through the original, the source, Qiskit source. So whatever I am discussing, it is from the source.
IBM best platform to learn quantum.
Yeah. So, like to me, add on this, like this could have so many example for real-time algorithms, everything in chemistry, finance, and other sectors. So anybody can go there and see the examples and run and then that Jupyter Notebook on the Qiskit lab. So that is very helpful.
Even if for practice session in the Qiskit book itself, we can run the code also once installed.
Yes.
There is a try button is there. You can without going to just try, if you will do, that will work out.
Yeah. In the next session, we will do those things. Using textbook. How do you simulate?
Yeah. There itself we can simulate.
Yeah.
Essentiality is what means, sir. Theory, once we will know funda part is clear, then we can do whether with composer or real quantum.
Yes. Okay, sir. So I stop it here.
Yeah.
We'll meet in the next session. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice session, sir. It was so informative.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ravi sir, for your wonderful insights in the basics of quantum computing, especially
Thank you, sir.
Qiskit and all. Okay, so I'll once Ravi sir leaves, I'll share my screen so that I can download the attendance. Okay. Where is the download? Yeah.